Are we live? We're live.
Yeah.
So I'm here with Michael. Michael is a Kundalini teacher, and you also have an accounting business.
Yes, I
But
do.
yeah. So yeah, do you just want to kind of introduce your how you came into Align and Thrive, why you came in, a little just short intro?
Yeah. Well, I was introduced to this program through a teacher training program. So after my Kundalini training, I went and took a Vinyasa teacher training through Orange Kelowna. And that's obviously how I met Donna. And most of the training for me it was an interesting experience. And I wasn't exactly sure why I took it. And for a lot of it, it was a lot of soul searching, like, why am I here? What am I doing here? And then when it came to certain pieces of the program, it was very clearly like filling in the gaps, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And Ayurveda was one of those pieces that just called right out to me. It was one of the key pieces that I had not integrated into my own yogic practice it was there waiting for me. It was calling to me. And obviously through your ability to teach people was outstanding. And the way that you presented the information was so easily absorbable. And I wanted to carry on with it. So your program just fit perfectly at the time.
Cool. What was it about Ayurveda that was interesting or intriguing?
In one word, timing and cycles, because it was all about falling into rhythm with the cycles, like natural timing, cycles of the earth, and all of that. I mean, in my accounting background, everything is about timing and all about fitting things in at the right time in the right place.
Right.
I also happened to be there at the right time in the right place to be introduced to it. And I really needed all of those habits around just personal health and healing and fitness to also be part of that timing cycle.
Cool. Yeah, that's so interesting to make that connection between the accounting and rhythm. And so much about like creating a rhythm and having that sense of consistency and regularity and grounding of like just the timing of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what results? It's been 9 months now and 3 more, which I'm excited about. Tell me, what's changed for you?
Oh boy, what hasn't changed for me? So much has changed. I was really struggling to fall into a rhythm with my own personal habits. I was struggling to have a daily yoga practice that fit in with being a small business owner. And the small business was very quickly taking over all of my time.
Yeah.
So it was a product of looking inside and asking myself, what am I looking to get out of this? And it seemed really basic at first. It was like, I want to be eating 3 healthy meals a day. I want to be able to just take care of myself while taking care of my business.
Right.
And it was a real struggle. Like we're 9 months into the program right now. And in those first months, it was sort of like, dipping my toes in, being like, okay, what is this all about? And what changes am I willing to make in the moment?
Mm-hmm.
And just openly and admittedly, I was a rogue in the beginning of this course. Like I sort of, my favorite word through this is the prajnaparata, that crimes against wisdom, and to have all of that wisdom contained in here, but the perceived inability to piece it all together, or that sense of perfectionism that drove me to want to make sense of it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing that changed for me. Is even halfway through this course, it took me 4 or 5 months of sort of battling back and forth between the ego's expectations and then what my body was actually willing to integrate at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it pretty clearly. It was right around July, August, when I was sort of putting a lot of pressure on myself to be like, okay, like we've been in this course for this many months, how come we're not getting this a little bit more? And I really came face to face with that inner perfectionist to be like, why, how is this helping me? And to come to the conclusion that like, this just really isn't helping me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it really helps anyone out there to be like, oh, I have to get this in this amount of time. And dropping that was like a big sigh of relief. It's just like, like I don't have to get all of this at once.
Yeah,
I don't. And amazing things happen after that. It's just like, okay, now like, what can I do? What am I willing to do? And oftentimes it was like, if I would try to get 2 or 3 of the habits done in one day, I would end up, trading off one habit and getting another one in there, and somewhat looking at that as like I was failing somehow. Like, oh, if I didn't get 3 habits in when I'd planned to, that, oh, I wasn't doing it. And
Yeah.
this is not true. It's just, and at
No.
this point, it's training the body to become more comfortable with even one new habit at a time. And it's
Yeah.
really integrating baby steps, that tiny little bit at a time. And now that we are 9 months in, the biggest thing that I did for myself was just get out of my own way. And that perfectionism was right in the way. It was just
Oh yeah.
like, you're not going to get anything if you think you're going to get everything.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
that is now, everything is weaving itself together now in a way that feels so good. Like I
That's
don't have to
awesome.
force myself to do these habits. I actually find myself having trained them enough that they just sort of happen. And even
Yeah.
like when I get up in the morning, I'm like, well, there's nothing else I want to do other than get up
Yeah.
and, meditate and go take care of myself and get ready for work. And
Yeah.
it's really exciting that all of the little changes become one big lifestyle change.
Yeah, totally. I love that. I love that you're really starting to feel that automation happening, and it is more natural and seamless, and you don't have to think about it. You don't have to make the decision to do it. You don't have to, use willpower or a lot of effort. Yeah, and that's really what happens. And it's funny how we are the only thing standing in our way. Like always. It's not our schedules, it's not other people, it's not our work. It's just, yeah. I mean, when we're all in and no part of us is like resisting it or putting just those unrealistic expectations, I think we do that a lot. And it really is just, yeah, like you said, not serving us at all, not really helping us get any better than we are. I mean, that's in our head, it's like the perfectionist is trying to make us move towards that ideal, but it's actually not.
Yeah, that unattainable ideal.
It's such a shift in thinking, though. And it's like an undoing of lifelong tendencies and patterns to that.
Yeah, I find that more of the programming of these habits was just a deprogramming of the old habits and how I
Yeah.
actually relate to them. And a
Mm.
lot of it was fear-based. It was like I actually developed other habits, outside of Ayurveda to give myself an identity and to convince myself that, oh, I am this type of person who, stays up late and, does all of these
Yeah.
things that aren't necessarily in my best interest. That's the Prajna Parada. Like, I know
Yeah.
better than this, but I'm
Right.
still doing this
Right.
because it's just who I am.
Right.
And it took me, I knew it was going to take me a while to really confront those things. That's why I signed
Yeah.
up for the whole
Yeah.
program, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't like myself through part of that program, and
Yeah.
just looking at those parts of myself I didn't like, it started
Mhm.
to rub more and more the things that I was doing when I would stay up late, and then I would wake up and just be frantic to get to work the next day. I wouldn't be properly prepared. And
Yeah.
those are the things you start to look at and be like, well, this isn't how I want to be living my life. So how
Totally.
can I make a little shift? And now, I mean, now it looks like going to bed at like 9 p.m. and feeling so good about that I can get up early and be like, oh, now I have so much time to prepare myself and just feel
Exactly.
good. It
I
actually feels
know.
good.
It's so true though that like the things that don't serve us become less, we have just less tolerance. It's like we just can't even deal with them. We just don't, it gets easier to let go of them because we're so done with them.
Yeah.
The more that you add in the good, it just like naturally pushes out the bad. And that's really the focus, I think, is like adding in the good things. And then we really see what's out of alignment, what doesn't fit anymore, what we're growing out of. And then it's like the surrendering of that is the hard piece for sure.
That is the hard piece. I mean, I'm still going through that right now. This whole integration piece has actually just started over the last 4 weeks or so, and
Mm,
big changes are happening in that. And there's still, I'm
yeah,
actually in a place where I'm not aligning or relating to the same friends that I had before. And it's about, developing new communities, new relationships, new
yeah,
friends that are actually supportive of those behavioral patterns. And
right.
that's one of the big pieces of this program too, is having a community you can reach out to
Mm,
express your struggles, to relate to other people, and then to
yeah.
actually align with people who are on that same path.
Totally. I know it is. It's so big. It feels so good to be, sometimes I forget like that everyone's not like the people in our community. And then when I'm around other people that are just like so not in touch with their bodies and just not taking care of themselves and don't have a lot of these habits, it's like, whoa, it's so crazy to me that like, really, you're gonna just burn yourself out and work like through the night to like get it done. And it's so, yeah, forget that we're in like a little bubble of this like thriving community of, but it feels so good to be around that and to have that support and to be around people that are on the same track and get it.
Yeah, it's so necessary. So necessary piece. I mean, all of the knowledge, you can contain all of that knowledge and try to put it to work in your own life. But I mean, it's all about your surroundings, your environment, and it's necessary to have that just those relationships that feed that supportive energy.
Yeah. And I think a lot of Align and Thrive is really getting those concepts of the power of environment and of community and of like how we hold ourselves back and sabotage through the perfectionism and just these bigger ideas that we can then use moving forward with other pieces of our lives and other goals that we set or other different habits that because we're always changing and we're always evolving, and it's like, I find for me, it's accelerated with the more I understand what it takes, like what are the pieces that need to be in place for me to actually move to the next level of growth and evolution and potential. And then it's like a compound effect, and there's like there's a momentum, and it happens, you get there so much faster and you get better at getting out of your own way. And something that you said, there's in James Clear's recent book, he talks about the latent, what is it? It's like just basically the idea where there's like this latent potential of habits. There's, in the beginning, it's the change is really slow. And maybe we don't really see any change. And then all of a sudden, like it all compounds into like major changes, but it's really like happening all the way. But then it's like depends on the certain habit of when it actually expresses itself fully, and you can really see the difference. It's like, going to the gym and like working out, and you don't see results in the first week or 2 week or maybe month or 2 months, but then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm different. My body's different. I'm different.
Yeah. And that acceleration piece too, like that's the part that's just starting to pick up for me. And it's so amazing to see that when things start to align, everything starts to align. And that's when you move into that place of thriving and starting, everything just energetically feels good and it gives you the momentum to carry on.
Yeah.
But it can also be a really scary thing. Like that's when so much change starts to occur that you lose that sense of identity.
Yeah.
And you really need to find that within the community and find that within yourself, is to be like, well, who am I and how am I supporting myself in this environment? And how can I commit so steadfastly to being okay with change, and change is the only norm, that I don't move into another sabotage cycle and be like, oh, this is so scary. I'm going to go cling to something that's comforting. And like, who am I? Where's my ground? Where am I safe? And then to have that community to land in and just express all of that. It's
exactly.
It's amazing.
Pema Chodron she talks about groundlessness and like being okay in that groundlessness, where that's like, I don't know who I am. I don't know like who I am in this new place, and not clinging to the old and going back to status quo and what's familiar and what's comfortable and easy, because like the ego will want to do that. It's like, I don't know this. I'll go back to what I know, even though I know that wasn't good for me, or I didn't really like that person, but at least I know it. So being okay in that like transitional state of coming into that new person that you're evolving into.
Yeah, that's that place where real change occurs when you're
Yeah,
not, you don't know who you were, your identity
yeah,
is changing, and you're actually vibrationally shifting. The cells of
totally.
the body change along with that,
Yeah,
and that's another amazing
yeah.
thing to witness, is just on a actual genetic
Physical.
level, how are
Mhm.
we evolving through these habits? It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cool. It's so
Cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I love having you as part of the community, and I'm so glad that you're staying for a little while longer, and for mentoring and for sharing your Kundalini with us. And it's awesome.
it's so exciting to be part of the journey. It's a community I'm so thrilled to be a part of. I can't wait for the next 3 months. It's going to be three
Cool.
months of supercharging the change.
That's right. That's
Happy
right.
to share it all.
Turbo boost.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Donna. You too.
Bye.
Bye.